Live? Are we live? Are we live? One says, notify me. According to this, everything's loading. All right, it looks like we are live. So, hello everybody. Happy Friday. This is Happy Valley Hobbies. My name is Mr. Cade, and these are hobbies that make me happy. 51 live streams. So, wow, didn't think, well, a year ago when I started this fun journey and all that, it was one of those things of let's try it and see what happens and all that. I was unemployed at the time, so it was one of those things of got plenty of time and all that, so I can do this. But now it's been about a year. I think my first one was actually on New Year's Eve when I first did this. I was using Zoom at the time because I was used to doing Zoom. Now I'm pretty much doing StreamYard. Hello, Kyle. Thank you for coming in. I might do another live stream tomorrow because I'm trying to figure out exactly what my new schedule is. I'm finding out that this particular time frame of 2:30 to 3:30 is not quite working out for me. So I am thinking of maybe doing Sunday before Sidetrack Sunday, sort of do like a pre-show for them and all that. But who knows? That's what my current thoughts are right now. And looking, trying to sort of like do it. I don't want to maybe a year in review, I guess. It's honestly sort of a blur because after I started, really gung ho and all that, I was unemployed. Then I did a silly thing and got employed, and I was, going from basically doing nothing or having a lot of energy doing stuff for myself all day to turning around and basically going to a 10-hour shift. And that was sort of kind of exhausting. That's after I figured out that all right, I'll do, no one else is doing Thursdays at 7:30 or 7, so that's what I went with. Then when I got employed doing 10-hour shifts, that was a little on the exhausting side. For a while, it took a while to get into that groove. But I kept on plugging away at it. I think my first month it was just basically me chatting before I actually decided to do stuff on the workbench. And at first I thought, I got, if I remember correctly, well, hello there, Anthony Dodge. Thank you for coming in. I want to say when my first 5 or so live streams were just me talking and all that. But then eventually got to the workbench portion of it and started building things. And some of the things that I've built, I remember I did at least the 3 dioramas, which I just ordered another covered bridge from Hunterline to do what's called a covered truss bridge. from my understanding, one of the more famous 2-foot gauge railroads just rebuilt one of theirs. And basically what the covered truss bridge was, from what I can tell, it was the cheaper version of a covered bridge, but at the same time they lasted longer than a non-covered bridge, but they didn't last as long as a covered bridge, but they were cheaper. So it's one of those things of where they turned around and were it was cost effective on a bridge that wasn't it was more important than just a regular bridge, but it wasn't as important to have as a covered bridge. Apparently there was one that was near my area, but when they rebuilt it as just a normal wooden bridge, not a covered truss bridge. Talking with Rick Hunter about it, it's like, how much would, I won a $50 gift certificate for New Tracks Modeling and from Hunterline Models, which the other models I've built so far are from. And talking with Rick Hunter himself, I asked him, it's like, how much wood do I need to do to build the covered truss bridge? And he says, no, you just buy the covered bridge and then just rebuild. There's enough wood there to rebuild it into a covered truss bridge. So I went with that, and theoretically it's in the mail. However, for some reason UPS is not tracking, so whatever. So that's what the plan on that is just trying to figure out. I don't think there's plans on how to do it into a covered truss bridge, but that's what I'm going to see about doing. Yeah, I forgot which 2-foot gauge railroad just rebuilt one. And the interesting thing is that you don't realize how big the bridge is until you until you put a vehicle on it, and then all of a sudden it looks a lot larger when you cover the trusses on it. So basically, what it will look. So basically, you'll have these two basically large wooden walls on the side of it. So it should be interesting. Since I have both kits, what I'll wind up doing is sort of combining the instructions, because a regular covered bridge, the bracing's on the inside. Well, the covered truss bridge, since there's no inside, the trusses have to be I want to say stabilizers. I'm not quite sure what they're called. They're on the outside like the uncovered version. So I got to sort of like do some of the things that are uncovered, and then but the uncovered one uses a wire to go across the quote, put everything in tension, whereas the covered bridge, everything's made out of wood. So that's why I'm glad I got both kits, because then I can sort of like, all right, well, in order to do it this way, it has to be done this way, and that interesting stuff. Well, hello there, Wigbag. Hey there. And thank you for watching. But that's what my current immediate plans are, is to do that particular project. Another project that I'm in the process of doing, this is going to be a little bit more involved. Finally, actually, since I bought the lathe this year, I'm actually going to use the lathe, and that's one of the things I got to figure out is like what would be a good camera angle for it, which is going to be interesting. And what I'm doing is, since I made the covered the queen post bridges I have now are 6-foot gauge. Right now, I don't have any 6-foot equipment, and the reason why I bought the lathe is that it's a little bit easier to make new axles, with the wider gauge than it is with. I mean, I do have my father's drill press, but at the same time, you have to turn around and use basically new metal and new stock and all that to make it a wider gauge. And at first, it's like I got all these, Bantua, Tyco, a couple of Bachmann, AHM Americans and all that. I was going to, see about making it into, the appropriate equipment. And the Tyco, what they call it's the Dixie Bell mold, which is actually the Sierra number 3. I think it was when the reason why they made that particular mold and all that was because of Petticoat Junction, because they did have a Petticoat Junction, branded train set, which is sort of a little odd because it actually, the Petticoat, the Hooterville Cannonball only had the locomotive and a combine, but the train set actually had more. I forgot exactly what it was and all that, but that's how the Sierra number 3 got turned into a model, and then they turned around and did different variation and paint schemes of it. And they also did a different chassis to it also. Eventually, they wound up making a Mastodon chassis. Basically, everything from the boiler up was the same. It's just that now the chassis had a 4-8-0 arrangement instead of 4-6 arrangement. But it is also, from my understanding, it's a 00 engine, so it's not quite the right scale. And if you take the model and you put it next to a picture of the Sierra, it looks very odd. It looks narrowed because it's a larger scale, but it still runs a NATO scale track. During my stuff of buying, all these different ones and different parts and all that, I did come across it sort of came into the set, and it's this silly little thing, which is apparently lifelike. SMT Mainline did a rebuild on them. I must have an older model because his model was a can motor. This is an open frame. And it's really, really cheap. And what I'm planning on doing with this one is making it sort of the first 6-foot gauge locomotive. I mean, this thing's really, really cheap and all that. And this is also a different scale. Let me grab an appropriate locomotive, which I happen to have right here. We do have the ever so popular Mantua General, and as you can see, it's that size. And then we put this one next to it. As you can see, it's much larger, and it's also much wider also. And one of the things about the lifelike engine, because if you look at it, if you look on how the drivetrain is that this is where the main drive is, or the main driver is really far out. And I figured out that I could, oops, sorry. I can actually turn around and widen the wheel sets, and the main rods will still be in line with everything. So my plan is to turn around and see about making this into a 6-foot gauge engine, and of course now the phone decides to make noise. I usually don't have it with me, but today I had it with me, and now it's making noise. And the thing is, in the 1800s, they do make a they still had a naming convention of naming their locomotives. So this is going to be named the Experiment, because that's what it's going to be. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's a I guess they call it the tea kettle, but it's not what you want to call. There's many issues with it. One major issue is that you can see where the smoke box or the I'm trying to think what it's called now. And the steam yoke, I think it's called. And if you look at it, it's not lined up with the smokestack. So that's I'm going to move the smokestack so it's at least underneath here where it's supposed to be, and also move the headlight out of the way so it's more overhanging. There's a lot of small little details. I mean, you can see that the steam dome is sort of drooped over a little bit. So quality control isn't the greatest on this, but that makes it a good, basically a good candidate for experimentation. That's why I've been doing the dioramas, before I actually put scenery on the layout, because I want to make sure I'm doing a decent job. I mean, not perfect, but at least a decent one where it doesn't look too horrible. And that's the same thing with the Experiment. It's probably not going to look the greatest, but at the same time, it's an experiment, and it'll give me practice on how to use how to use the lathe, how to make axles and all that, and other fun stuff. All right. Well, hello, Wigwag. All right. Have a nice nap. And yeah, I took a nap before getting on here because I'm not quite sure, but lately it's like I'm either awake doing stuff and all that, or I'm dead to the world. There's no longer a in between, which is annoying, because there's times it's just like I just want to relax without sleeping, but it is what it is, basically. So, speaking of the workbench, let me see about. I got to remember that the things here are a little bit. Places for stuff is a little bit different when it comes to all the different stuff. All right. Now to change over to the other camera. It's one of those things that I probably should be planning on fixing this so things are not as clumsy transitioning between things. All right. And there's the mascot. And this now is the appropriate weight. I've added a little rock to make it the correct weight. because the weight. Let's see if we can get this working right. Can you see the LCD? Not quite sure if you can see it or not. I'm assuming I didn't put Wigwag to sleep, but oh well. Yeah, that's one of the things is that normally my if I tilt this, the relatively clean spot is where I normally have the layout, but right now I'm working on getting the switches, and one of the advantages of having a portable layout is that, well, you can turn around and flip them over and all that, but that's where they are right now. And according to the instructions, that the recommended practice is for 2.5 ounces. The thing is that the model by itself is just under an actual ounce. So we have to add weight and turn it back off. And see, the roof itself is only it doesn't even register, so we don't even have to worry about that. All right. So after putting this on, comes about to 124. Let's see. I guess it's 125. I still have to put on the roof walks. But right now I'm actually contemplating on adding these. Right now they are loose. I'm planning on putting some glue on there. And the glue is going to have weight. So I might not have to have all of that rock. So, okay, that's where that is. This is what I want. So right now, we'll use wax paper. A little wax paper, and then we'll glue everything appropriately. Now, since I'm not too happy on how this went together, my plan is to keep the quote battery boxes on there, so that'll give me a visual indication of which this one is. Okay, now open that up. Now using wax paper makes it so, whoa, that's odd. Huh. That is not how it's supposed to be. But since it's almost empty, I'll go with it. It's one thing that I gotta do today. Not only do laundry today, but maybe stop off at the dollar store and get some more white glue. as for my test track, I sort of have made a portable one, which is, I actually have it set up where not only it does, your standard gauge track, but I also made a 6-foot gauge track, which thing is, until I get the experiment running, I will not know how that will work. I think I might have to make another test track to do it on, to have just DC, so I could actually all right, let's put this over there, a DC track, because it's always a good idea to make sure that something runs on DC first before you're adding, especially if we're doing massive modifications. To a locomotive, making sure that it runs on DC before adding the DCC. All right, so this we'll put over here. Okay, now as you see, it's 0.9, so it doesn't quite show the 0.95, but it is a very cheap and inexpensive. I don't think I got it on a dollar store. I think I might have got it at Ocean Lot. Forgot exactly which. But it's basically just keep on adding stuff until it gets to the 2.5. And also it's a good idea to make sure it's relatively spread out. But especially weighing cars is especially good, especially if you're planning on doing large trains. I'm not particularly, my layout's really small and all that, but I do belong to a club. Well, Kyle, needing more room, I think, is pretty much everyone's, thought process. There are very few people, I think, that I've come across that, turned around and said, oh, wait a minute, I made this too big. But usually when they realize that they went too large and all that, they usually, it's basically, they realize that that maybe their barn or hangar is a little bit too large. Because the larger you make layout, the more maintenance is involved. All right, I got an ounce to go. Yeah, I got to figure a better way of doing this, because I got 3 more of these to do. But yeah, I think it's always a mantra of, oh, I need a bigger layout. And I know someone who built, they designed a 3-tiered layout of the second subdivision of the Delaware and Hudson. And what had happened is that he turned around, and after he got the first section done, he did, being the way he is and all that, he just happened to realize that it'll probably be done 5 years after his death. Not sure how he figured out that it would be 5 years after his death, but he just happened to realize that I'm taking way too long to build this. Not that he needed to have something smaller, just that it was taking him too long to, every time he made a change, he had to redo the change, redo a change on the drawings and all that. And that took a lot of time. And so he said, all right, screw it, I'm building it. From my understanding, he came to the conclusion that he was going to be a confirmed bachelor's for the rest of his life, and that's how it's going to be. And then soon after he made a decision of just go ahead and build this, he wound up meeting somebody that had just enough passion for trains as he did. And next thing you know, of course, well, they wound up getting married. And he had to take what he had in his layout and take it down. And now the thing is, it might sound like a bad thing that he had to take everything down. However, he's doing the Delaware and Hudson. Her favorite railroad is the Rutland. They interchanged. So now, got parts of his old layout with parts of her old layout, and now actually are set up to they're slowly getting it so they can interchange with each other, which is one of those really cute things. And of not only did he find someone to be with, but also found out somebody that also loved the loved the railroad that interchanged with it. So it's sort of like a very cute ending. All right, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, we're getting close. And basically, with the glue is just basically making it so it doesn't rattle, keeping everything in place. Because when things rattle, it could turn around and shift the load where it's no longer balanced. At first, I was actually thinking about just putting the glue in as is, but I'm not quite sure how that would have fit properly. So that's why I'm doing it this way. But I am thinking on doing a different time slot. So I'm sort of not quite sure where I'm going to wind up landing on a live stream. I'm assuming Friday between 3:30 and 4:30 is not a good slot to go to. But I am thinking of maybe being a pre-show on Sunday for Sidetrack Saturday or Sunday. That's my current thought process is. Because there's times that I want to do something on Fridays, but if I don't get my carcass moving quick enough, then it's like I gotta do the live stream, and then unfortunately a lot of things sort of all right, we're almost there. Things in Vermont have a tendency to close at 5. Like right now I need to get my inspection on the car, which I'm doing right after this, so I will not be on Anthony's channel. All right. Wow. So that's how much glue that I got on there. It's now at 2.5. And now basically that goes around and gets dry. And we'll let that dry. We'll let this dry. We'll actually separate these because I might not want these to be together. I was actually I got a whole bag of this aquarium stone. I was wondering, it's like, what am I going to do with all this? Because I'm not going to be using that much. But now that I can turn around and use it for weights for boxcars, I guess that's the way I'm doing it. I'm surprised that this fell completely apart. So now, let's reweigh this one more time just to making sure. Yeah. All right. Sometimes you have to weigh things multiple times just to make sure that it's going to work right. Put that over there. Now for the fun part. How do we clean this up? Assuming you don't have to go too nuts on it because it's almost empty. So it will be thrown away eventually. And as you know, I think I only have about that much left in it. But all right. I know I have a pair of pliers, but are they within reach? Not quite. I might actually have to put it in a different bottle and all that because I can't close that up. Oh well. Okay. So, all right. Well, that little project's out of the way. Let's see. We're done with this one yet. Yeah, this one, unfortunately, I have no spot to put weight. If I was to do this again, I would, see about maybe there's a wooden dowel in here, and I would turn around and drill out the dowel and then add weight that way. Because this, let's put this over here. This weighs 1.5 by the time I get completely done with it. Still need to put some more nut and bolt washer castings and couplers, and the brake wheel. But my assumption is that the couplers are not going to weigh that much, especially if I'm using my favorite 7-Elevens, which are these. Now, when I first heard about the 7-Eleven Katy coupler, I thought the guy was sort of pulling our chains and all that because of 7-Eleven the 7-Eleven convenience chain. However, to find out that what the 7-Eleven is Interestingly enough, it's actually it was the first scale coupler, or as they put it, is a 3/4 scale coupler. But the thing is that it's the number 5s, which are very popular, are actually oversized. So let's see, well, that there, and these are actually these were originally these were marketed for. I'm not sure if you're ever going to actually be able to see this, but it says HON3 because these were the 714 couplers. Now the thing is that they have 11 and 14 on there. The main difference between the 711s and the 714s basically is the trip pin they have. The trip pin for the HO scale. Let's see. Let's grab a couple of them and a couple of springs. Hardest thing I don't like about these are the springs. Because the springs, they wind up curling into each other and they're hard to get out. But here's what the trip pin looks like. Now, from my understanding, the 714 trip pin, if you look at these, see how a better background. As you can see, this winds up being a very long trip pin, whereas I think for the 714s, I haven't seen one, but I'm assuming that instead of being this long, it's probably about that long. That's my assumption. I haven't, as I said, I haven't actually seen one, so I do not know. All right. Yes, have a good day, Kyle. Sorry I didn't see your thing right off the bat. But that's one of the things I'm going to need to do is to change my setup for the workbench. Set the workbench up more for doing live streams. All right. Let's see. That's that. All right. Let's sit that way. All right. Huh. These used to go on easy. I'm doing incorrect. Yeah, storage and all right, let's go this way then. Yeah, storage is always well, not just for model trains, but especially if you have other hobbies. That's another thing. What I'm thinking on doing is to The original plan was to do all the hobbies that I am interested in doing. A lot of them are model train adjacent. As I mentioned earlier, I did buy a lathe, so metalworking will be showing up next year. Also, I want to see about doing more electronic stuff. Okay. I will take this. Now this, the hole that's set up for the 58 coupler is not it's a little bit too far in, so gotta go in with the pin vise, which I already got set up ready to go. And as you can see, it didn't quite line it up straight since it didn't go too far down. All right, let's grab the screws. But I did come across something interesting today. Of course, now I'm trying to remember what it was called. I think it was called V-blogging, which apparently started in Japan. It's it's sort of virtual blogging, and basically what it is, I think it was originally for people who didn't really want to show their faces on Twitch, because I think that's where it started. And basically, so someone can turn around, and if you see anyone that's sort of like talking and they got they're actually not directly they're not directly they have a sort of like a cartoon character or anime character doing the talking. That's what I guess it's called. I've seen it before, but I didn't realize that there was an actual name for it. All right, now that looks like a spring. However, I know it's at least 2 springs. So let's see if we can separate them without damaging them. Now doing this does require not necessarily a sharp knife, but at least something that's pointed. You probably can't see in the camera. But the thing is, once these springs are separated, you might not be able to see them in the camera, because then they'll be too thin. All right, couldn't try that way. Let's try this way. And this definitely requires a lot of patience in trying to separate these. Oops. Starting to separate. Yes, here we are. Springs are almost separated apart. Yes. All right, there's one. This actually still looks like it might be two of them together. So there were three springs together. Yep, there were three springs together, not one, not two. That's the disadvantage of these kinds of springs, is that they're very they easily intertwine with each other because of the way the stock is. But well, it looks like, if I'm reading the clock correctly, it is starting to get time for Anthony's live stream. So I guess I'll swing this down. I might do a turn around and do a New Year's thing tomorrow. Haven't figured out exactly what time, but that is one thing that I am thinking on doing. Okay, back to this one. So yeah, it's been practically a year, and it's been, well, the whole year has been interesting. Doing one of the things is doing my best to get back into civilization from being locked down so much. But that's one of the things of now that seeing about the doing a different time again. As I said, right now I'm thinking on doing it as a pre-show before Sidetrack Sunday. There's also something else I'm thinking of, but I want to actually turn around and it's a collaboration, but I gotta actually turn around and talk to the people about doing said collaboration. But yeah, I'm gonna do a random live stream tomorrow. I just don't know when, so keep your notifications on, and we can go from there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say at this point in time. So I think that the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. And for those that are longtime viewers and all that, thank you for hanging around, and Happy New Year. Let's see. I forgot it's a double click. With Zoom it was only a single. So that's another thing, is to get more proficient at StreamYard. But thank you for watching.